Hello and welcome to the JB&M Sports Fanatic channel. Thank you for joining me for this video. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about the teams that have the most salary cap space remaining as of this morning, May 19th. And so some of these teams may be a bit of a surprise, but yeah, we'll be discussing the top 10 teams in terms of salary cap remaining, as well as just addressing some of the needs that they still may have remaining, or perhaps some questions that each of these teams may still have after the draft. I mean, obviously, each team felt that they got better post draft. They felt that they filled a lot of needs that they had. And obviously, earlier in free agency, some teams, such as the Patriots and the Browns, they were aggressive in getting needs in which they needed to fill. We've seen the Broncos, as of recently, try to fill some of those holes as well. And we all know that the Jaguars, they've been one of the more busier teams the entire offseason, bringing in a lot of new free agents. And obviously, they had a huge turnover with Urban Meyer, new coaching staff, new quarterback now, as well as the Jets' new quarterback. So a lot of these teams, they've made a lot of moves, but these are the teams in the best position to continue to go after more moves in which they can go ahead and try to solidify their roster with, now that they have a better picture of what they have and what they still need remaining. So that being said, I'll go ahead and start off with the Jacksonville Jaguars and their roster. So there was no secret entering the NFL draft that we all knew that Trevor Lawrence was going to be the guy for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, they needed a quarterback. Last year they just didn't have that position being very consistent. And it was a little surprising, though, that they took a running back in the first. I will say that, as we all know, that last year when it came to, James Robinson, he was a fantastic story coming in undrafted. They needed a running back, and he was that guy. So, yeah, but definitely, they're going to certainly still utilize him in that offense as well. But they did make those pieces. Some of the biggest questions that they have for the Jacksonville Jaguars is simply centered around, obviously, the tight end position is one that comes to mind. We all know about the whole Tim Tebow, conversion to tight end potentially. We're still waiting on to see if they're going to finalize that or opt to go in a different direction. They did throughout the draft acquire, a couple a tight end late in the draft, about I believe the fifth round. But yeah, so they certainly are a team that can certainly benefit from having a pass catcher tight end position. Although they brought in Luke Farrell from Ohio State, he's going to be more of that blocker type tight end. And then there was Chris Manhertz as well. So yeah, both of those are going to be fantastic in terms of run blocking. But yeah, they're certainly going to need a pass catching tight end. Now they can always make a trade for a guy like a Zach Ertz. That's what comes to mind. Someone like him, maybe Hayden Hurts, people like that come to mind in terms of pass catching receivers. That they certainly, I mean, they have the most salary cap. They have even twice as much as some of the teams towards the bottom of this top 10 list. So they certainly are in position to where they have money that they can spend. So certainly, what are they going to do at tight end? That's certainly one of the things that I'm interested in seeing moving forward for them. And so with the New York Jets, they're second on this list with almost $25 million. Obviously, bringing in a rookie quarterback, you're going to want to put pieces around him to help him to succeed in this league. And that's really what you're going to have to do for all these rookie quarterbacks that were taken this year. And then these quarterbacks that are coming back in their second year, you want to put them in the best position to succeed, especially early on in their career. After they failed to do so for Sam Darnold. So, yeah, the Jets certainly made an effort to rebuild their supporting cast on offense, bringing in guys like at receiver Corey Davis, Keenan Allen. And then obviously, they continue to build the offensive line through the draft, getting Elijah Vera Tucker. So definitely he has the potential to be a day one starter. Then another wide receiver, Elijah Moore. So, yeah, definitely understand what they were doing. Bringing in running back Michael Carter, that's a good pick as well. I like that pick for them. And so Michael Carter is going to have an important role for the Jets early on. So we'll see, exactly how this is going to look. But they have the money to continue to bring in more weapons to continue to help out Zach Wilson as much as possible. So I like what they've done so far. And with the salary cap that they have available, they still can go out and get additional pieces. They can also, trade for a true number one. I know that, someone like Julio Jones, the Falcons perhaps We'll see how that situation plays there. But if they can get their hands on someone like a Julio Jones, what better way that you can help someone like Zach Wilson, young quarterback, come in and to give him a true number one wide receiver? Not saying that they don't have one currently. I feel like the Jets have some good receivers, but if they can get that top tier receiver, that can help as well. And so obviously, they have some money that they can spend to help the defense side of the ball as well. But yeah, I like what the Jets have done so far this offseason. It feels like some good moves, and so, but they still have a lot of money that they can spend left to try to continue to improve this team. And then we're going to go to the Denver Broncos. Obviously, whenever we think about the Denver Broncos, one person that keeps coming to mind is, are they going to be able to trade for Aaron Rodgers? They certainly have the of the potential teams that could trade for him. They have the best salary cap situation available as of right now. But obviously, they want to take care of what they got up on their roster right now. They've got Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. They're going to be competing to see who's going to be the QB1. Obviously, the Broncos would love to see Drew Lock win it. But if Teddy Bridgewater goes out there and just outplays him, then they won't hesitate to make that switch to Teddy. And they're going to give them both a fair chance at it. So certainly that. And then, last year, Melvin Gordon, he dealt with some injuries. So they're going to want to make sure that they, continue to stack up running backs. I believe that they did lose Philip Lindsay, who went to the Houston Texans. And so, but the Broncos, they definitely went out there and got their guy filled at the cornerback position. That did help. Obviously, the biggest issue for the Broncos right now, aside from quarterback, is offensive line. They've been trying to bring in a couple pieces to see if they can, be able to help these young quarterbacks be able to succeed. And so that's going to be the big question, honestly. But with that being said, though, obviously, bringing in Patrick Surtain II, that was huge. Javonte Williams, that helps as well, and improved them down the roster. And so, General Manager George Payton, he pretty much made it clear after the draft that, Locke and Bridgewater is the combination that they wanted all along. And with the quarterbacks that were actually available in free agency, to trade for Bridgewater did make the most sense for them. But for many among the team's faithful, the decision to pass on Justin Fields at number 9, that's one that we're going to have to really just, see long term from now how that plays out for them. But they certainly felt comfortable with what they got. So obviously being able to protect them, that's priority number 1. And so, they went ahead and addressed their cornerback need via the draft. So offensive line is the big one, and they've certainly got the money to do just that. So Detroit, Detroit, when you think of Detroit, you think of all the free agents, that either the guys that left or got traded, after having Matthew Stafford for so long, and then they trade him away, pretty much shows that, Detroit's thinking about their future now. They felt it was time to move on. They knew that, they didn't have a championship team in place, so they wanted to go ahead and just punt and just build towards the future. Brought in a guy like Jared Goff. The question is going to be, what exactly are they getting in Jared Goff? Can he go out there and look like he did his best season with the Rams? That's going to be tough to ask, but one thing that they are doing is that it seems like they want to build the offensive line out first and then go from there. And if that's the case, then that definitely would bode well for them to be able to continue to build that team that way from the inside out. And then just, let the chips fall where they may. Obviously, they've got a pretty good running back situation. They added on guys like Jamal Williams, and so that'll help as well. And then at receiver, though, like they lost both of their starting receivers. So, this is going to be a unit that's going to have to continue to grow. They may have some growing pains, but they've certainly got the money. And I anticipate that next year they'll have even more money as well to be able to continue to go after free agents and just see what is out there that can contribute to the team. As they're going to be looking for young talent, no doubt about that, young talent that they can continue to mold. They do have some good key pieces, though. Like I like T.J. Hawkinson. I feel he's a great tight end. Obviously, entering year 3, he's going to have to be more of the vocal point early on to just make up for losing guys like Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones Jr., guys like that. So the Lions, they did draft receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round, and so that's going to be interesting to see how that works out for them. So I'm really intrigued to see how that works out actually for them. But certainly, and as far as proven pass catchers, pass catchers, that's certainly something that they're going to have to develop these guys into. So we'll see how that looks for Detroit. But yeah, Jared Goff. I feel like last season with the Rams, Jared Goff, he had a lot of talent around him at the receiver position, and so now that he's going to be playing with less experienced talent, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see who becomes the primary target for the Detroit Lions offense. So we'll see how that works out. Obviously, they've got a salary cap, so if someone does pop up, they'll have the money to snag them up. It's just going to be a matter of, they're looking for someone young, honestly. Next up is the Cleveland Browns. And so, man, what an offseason the Cleveland Browns have had. I mean, on paper, they found a way to get even better than last year. I mean, the Browns are just not looking like the old Browns that we used to see in the past. That seems to be that they finally turned that page, and it's looking like they're going to be consistently good for the foreseeable future if they keep making moves like they're doing now. So the real question that's going to be for the Browns is going to be, can they handle the high expectations that's going to be placed upon them? It's one thing when everybody expects you to lose and you sneak up on a team, but now that you're going to be the team that has the target on your back, you're still going to have Pittsburgh in the division. Although we have to see how Ben Roethlisberger is going to do and how that offense is going to look this year with the addition of Najee Harris and company. You still got Baltimore, Lamar Jackson. As much as people tend to point out how he does in the playoffs or what he hasn't done yet in the playoffs, he's still Lamar. He's still won an MVP in the past. Still got to deal with them Ravens, and they're going to bring it. And then you've got the Bengals. Joe Burrow. He's going to be looking to have a huge second year. So there's going to be, everybody's going to be targeting for the Browns now. So that's going to be something different for them. But you got to love, what they did. And I'm really hoping for Brown fans that they are able to bring back Sheldon Richardson. I mean, just seeing, like they do have the money, so it would be nice if they would be able to bring back Sheldon Richardson. That would really just be icing on the cake in terms of what they've already done this offseason. But yeah, they've certainly brought in, some key pieces in the secondary, worked on that defense to perfect it. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see what the Browns are going to look like again. Obviously, the return of Odell Beckham Jr. and him coming back and being mentally in with the team, all in, And then I have no doubt in my mind that Odell still has that potential that we saw with the Giants, So if he's healthy, he goes out there and, he just plays a part of the system. Obviously, he's a guy that, he loves to have the ball come his way a lot. And so as long as Baker Mayfield, just finds a way to communicate and gets him the ball when he needs to, but doesn't force the issue, Browns are going to be A-OK, and Odell Beckham will fit in just nicely. So we'll see how that turns out for the Browns. So next on the list is the Chargers. And so last year with Justin Herbert, they did a fantastic job of bringing Justin Herbert in. I mean, you almost forget that they had lost Phillip Rivers, honestly, because last year Justin Herbert came in and did such a great job. You would have thought that he was a veteran there for some time. But clearly Justin Herbert, he was fantastic. Now, they're going to need their running backs to stay healthy this upcoming season. Last year, running backs were coming in and out. But even throughout all of that, Justin Herbert was still the man. And so you got to pat him on the back for that. And so, but in terms of what a question that I have for the Chargers, it's going to be, honestly, it's going to be the kicking game. The Chargers are a team that over the last couple of years, they have been in just about every game that they've played. But special teams really do win and lose ball games. And unfortunately for them, the Chargers, yeah, they really can use a consistent kicker here. I believe Bagley last year was like 24-33. And so, I mean, that's okay, but he missed basically all of his kicks from beyond 40 yards. So, yeah, that's certainly not a good look for your NFL kicker to be missing just about all his kicks from 40 and beyond, because there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to need to win games, and you're going to have to trust that your kicker can make that. So for the Chargers to be able to beat some of these games that they're consistently losing, they're going to need more consistency at the kicking position, I feel. And so that's one of their biggest needs. Obviously, they've got the salary cap money. They did a tremendous job improving the offensive line, that is for sure. And they've got some, pretty solid targets for Justin Herbert. They lost Hunter Henry, but they replaced him with Jared Cook. So, yeah, the Chargers, they're going to be one of the teams to watch out for this upcoming season, because Justin Herbert, especially if he elevates his game even more, look out. I mean, the only thing holding him back is the fact that the Chiefs are in their division as well. So that's going to be a tough one to steal. But, hey, you just take it game by game, week by week, and at the end of the season, see where you are. And so definitely do like what the Chargers bring to the table, though. Next up is the 49ers. And so, yeah, when I think about the 49ers, obviously we all know with the Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo situation, Jimmy G is playing for his NFL career. He wants to go out there and show what he's got. He's gonna have to stay healthy to do that, because if he goes down again, that's basically his career. It's a wrap. So much so, injuries have been a concern for the 49ers last year that apparently it impacted their draft board, and they targeted guys that had a history of being healthy, or should I say, not dealing with injuries, or didn't have high injury concerns, I should say. And so the 49ers made sure that they stayed far clear of those guys, as they knew that if they're like, the only thing that can stop them and derail them basically is injuries. That's what the difference was between them being in the Super Bowl and then them being in a position to, like draft earlier in the draft than they would have liked. So with that being said, obviously the question for the 49ers is how the quarterback situation is going to pan out. We all know entering into the season, Jimmy G is most likely going to be the guy unless they end up trading him. But the team's going to have to really just route him with a trade offer, which I don't see happening. So Jimmy G is going to be the man starting off, but how long will he start before Trey Lance gets his start? And I think it's going to depend on how fast the start the 49ers get off to. If Jimmy G goes out there and he struggles, gets banged up, just doesn't look the same, then yeah, Trey Lance could certainly end up getting this position a lot sooner than expected. So that's one thing to keep an eye on for them. I feel like, with the money that the 49ers got, they could use, they brought in Marquise Lee. I'm intrigued to see how that works out for them, as I do feel that they did need another receiver, as they obviously lost a receiver, Kevin Bourne, who went to the Patriots. So I felt that they could have used another receiver. And so we'll have to see if Marquise Lee turns out to be that guy. But if someone else comes available, and then, hey, they can pick them up, for the right price. So we'll have to see how that plays out for them. Next up is the New England Patriots. Oh man, there's so many storylines for the Patriots. I mean, they in the offseason, going out there and solidifying the tight end position, that was extremely huge. And then improving the receiving position. And although they've improved the receiving position, it's still not top half of the league, I feel, especially when you lost Julian Edelman through the retirement. So the Patriots, they could definitely benefit from another receiver, or either, if N'Keal Harry turns out to have an improved year, that can definitely help. But one thing the Patriots don't currently know right now is who's going to be receiver number one. Is it going to be Nelson Aguilar? Is it going to be Kevin Bourne? Is it going to be someone else? We don't know that at the moment. But Bill Belichick, he's going to do his due diligence, and he's going to find that guy. And we'll have to wait till opening kickoff to figure out who's going to be receiver one, probably most likely. But yeah, certainly love the changes that the Patriots made. And even on defense, they found ways to improve. And so, I mean, this was a team that had to adjust on the fly last year when all of those guys opted out, losing Brady. There was a lot of transition, bringing on Cam late. So there was just so much that this team had to really deal with throughout the season in order for them to improve. So the question that I have for the Patriots is, did they do enough at the wide receiver position to help out, whether it be Cam Newton early on, Mac Jones? My other question would be, how long do they ride with Cam Newton? But, that's just going to be up to Bill Belichick. That's something that we won't find out until Bill decides at that moment that, Mac Jones has shown that he's ready. So, but other than that, yeah, it's going to be up to guys like Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, N'Keal Harry, guys like that. So, yeah, those receivers particularly is going to be very critical for the Patriots' success passing the ball. So, going to keep an eye out for how they do, but certainly looking forward to seeing how the Patriots bounce back this year, and how they're going to look. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this season, so I'm excited to see that. And then the final team that we're going to discuss, that fills up the top 10 for current salary cap spaces, is the Carolina Panthers. So yeah, the Panthers, they certainly did a good job in acquiring a lot of talent. Obviously for them, one of the keys to their season is going to be the development of Sam Darnold. They've got pieces around him that's better than what he's had throughout his entire career. So certainly being able to do enough to help him succeed, that's key. And so the question that I have for the Panthers is, do the Panthers have a player who can give Sam Darnold the protection he needs to perform at a high level? I mean, obviously, Carolina, they signed quite a few guys at that left tackle spot. Cameron Irving in free agency brought him in to compete for that left tackle job. drafted BYU's Brady Christensen in the 3rd round. And so there's a lot of competition, and competition is great. And so it's just going to be, whoever wins those spots, they're going to have to do their best to make sure that Sam Darnold has, time in that pocket. If you give him some time, I think he has, he has the ability to really go out there and deliver. It's just he's never had protection throughout his career. So that's going to be highly important to give him protection. We know he's got some weapons, especially if C-Mac is out there. So definitely going to be a matter of just protecting them and keeping them upright and giving him the chance to go out there and show what he can do. But the Carolina Panthers are another team that has really improved this offseason. They made some smart moves throughout free agency, and I'm excited to see how their season is going to go moving forward. But there you have it. That fills out the teams with the most cap space as of this morning. So thank you so much for joining me for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, more than happy to break down this stuff, especially if you guys, like it. Just leave it in the comments. If you agree with some of what I said, disagree, that's okay. Just, comment and let me know what you think about it. But thank you so much for joining me again for this video, and have a great rest of your day.